sign, TheSpacesBetween. Mm-hmm. Yes, yes. And let's see here. Call line is open. Oh, sorry, guys. I'm just running a little behind here mentally. I don't know how you all your holiday went. For here in the U.S., we had Thanksgiving yesterday. A little too much turkey for me, and I've got my brain is on slow mo today because yes, it just is, and because yeah, too much turkey, too much pie, too much mashed potatoes and gravy. Actually, there's no such thing as too much of any of that. Ever. And no, it's always good food. So you see, iLife.com. Go to iLife.com. iLife is the official sponsor for Truth Frequency Radio. iLife blends the best of CBD and ayahuasca, and it's just good for what ails you. And then call line is open tonight, and that number is 213-233-3998. Or if you're across the pond in the UK, it's 44203-393-2871. And for those of you in YouTube world, now that I've got technology sorted-ish, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Just to prove to the world that, yes, I figured it out. Maybe. So tonight's show, kind of a theme here in the U.S. We talk about, things to be thankful for and gratitude and such. And so kind of continue with that theme. I know like on Wednesday night, if you caught Paranormal Portal, Don and Brent talked about, being thankful and stuff. And
kangaroo balls.
Yes, and kangaroo balls. You guys are so weird. Yeah, that is not a gift I ever would have expected anybody to receive, ever. And then, I don't know if anybody caught it, but Dawn actually smelled them live on air.
Hey, careful now.
So
don't go making accusations.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, it was that was some crazy stuff. So, yeah, here, it seems like we, I don't know, I just thought it was flipping hilarious, seeing all that stuff that you guys do. And it's fun seeing all the gifts that you guys get, the things that people send you, the randomness that you guys receive.
Yes.
And it's amazing to me how much of it ends up on the wall behind you.
Well, yeah. Where else would it go?
I don't know, but at some point in the studio there, the paranormal studio, you all are going to run out of room.
Yes.
And then what?
We'll shift things around, like we always do.
It's funny. You guys are just hilarious. So, anyways, we're continuing here with the whole gratitude theme. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about, just what are we grateful for? And let's see what else. And just saying thank you. It's amazing how much power there is in the two words, thank you. And, is it better to show gratitude or is it better to say thank you? And, often we need both. And the very, very definition of gratitude is just the quality of being thankful, a readiness to show appreciation for and to return a kindness. So that's an Oxford Dictionary definition, because you know what? There's a lot of definitions out there that we just don't want to. There's so many dictionaries out there anymore. It's hard to figure out what anything means anymore. One of these days we're going to open up a dictionary and look up the word is, and there will be there is no definition. Yeah. What is.
Okay.
Yeah. Just, yeah. All sorts of randomness. So, I've also got a little bitty ritual from Llewellyn.com. So this one was put together by Scott Cunningham, who's an active Wiccan practitioner. But sometimes, when it comes to our ritual work, we get really caught up in the pomp and circumstance of it. Any place, and it falls into the dogma, if you will, of all the pomposity of it. And in reality, when it comes to being grateful to our deities and the spirits that we work with, or the spirit guides that we have, often it's the simple things. You're just saying, "Hey, thank you for your help," or "Thank you for the guidance," or "I appreciate everything that you're doing to keep me on the straight and narrow," because often we need more than a little bitty nudge to keep us on the path, because there's a lot of distraction, and there's bumps and twists and turns. And like I've mentioned in the past, for me, my opinion is that life is an adventure. There's no, it's not really a straight line. There's a plan, yes, but it's often one that we are still trying to figure out as we're going through it. So there's going to be ups and downs, and yeah, all sorts of randomness. Is my audio quality okay?
You got some crackle going on.
Okay, I wondered about that, because I can hear the feedback in my ear. So, very, very weird. When I lived in Upper Minnesota, and if Naysay was on, he would agree or make comment, I'm sure. When I was riding with my Native American friends and we saw an eagle in the air, often they would just roll down the window and let unlit cigarette go out. There were days if you were to follow along on that road, you'd probably pick up a carton of smokes, because there's so many cigarettes going out the windows. And it was a tobacco offering to honor the spirit of the eagle, and that was just a real basic, simple thing. So there wasn't a lot of pomposity. It wasn't a lot of grandiose statements or anything. It was just driving down the road, jamming out to whatever music. They're like, "Ooh, look, an eagle rolled down the window," and out goes a cigarette. Even those that didn't smoke often had a pack of cigarettes just for that purpose. And so when that's something that they grew up with, that's the part of their culture, and the way they were taught and the way they were raised to honor the spirit of the eagle, and also other members of the spirit world with them. And so that real simple gesture of gratitude or acknowledgement of the presence of the eagle spirit, that's a good thing. It's simple, it's classic, it's timeless, at least for as long as we can still buy tobacco. And after that, there's other things. I mean, tobacco has not always been available to all of the tribes in the world. Here in the Pacific Northwest, often it was wild lettuce or mullein leaf, which is also known as lamb's ear. It was dried and rolled often and smoked in the peace pipes, rather than tobacco once upon a time, because tobacco was not necessarily a thing here. Let's see. So, when it comes to honoring those entities that we're working with, we need to be aware of what they might appreciate as a gesture of thank you or gratitude. For a lot of the Nordic traditions, for instance, basic gratitude might be mead. Any of the Fae, it could be honey, although I'll talk about the Fae here in a bit as a separate thought process. For some of the Celtic type traditions, again, it could be mead or it could be beer. some other spirit or drink. Sorry, I've got a cat. Let's see what. And so when we're going through and we're honoring the deities that we're working with, we need to be aware what is a good way to show gratitude and to just say thank you. And sometimes it is better to express that gratitude rather than just say thank you. For instance, when it comes to the Fae, because they are a different group of beings, they're not necessarily deified, but they are definitely a unique group of people or individuals. And also, if you do call in because you want to give your 3 cents and I don't catch you, make sure you do a shout out in the chat. But I'll try to look in there. But with the Fae, generally speaking, you don't want to just say thank you because they have it's a different culture, and there are just some things you don't say because of that culture. So for them, yes, honey is an excellent offering, if you will, to say thank you. And honey is actually just good in general as far as that goes. But the list here I've got politeness and respect in general when we approach any of the deities or the spirits that we work with is an excellent gesture of appreciation and gratitude. Being respectful in our tone of voice and the things we're asking for and the way we're asking for it it's a good skill set to have. There's no reason you should have, be rude to the deities that you're working with or the spirits you're working with because, talk about a good way to have something go sideways and really muck things up. It's, just being respectful and being polite. And so pay attention to the way you word your requests when you're working with your entities, which is why it's really good to journal things out before you express them or try to move forward, because it's not just your intention, but also the words that we write, the words that we speak give form to the thought and to the desire and to the wish. So with the Fae, if someone within the Fae is talking to you, be polite, listen. They're not planning on doing you harm generally. Now I say generally speaking because occasionally there are bad apples in every society. But if you're rude or pompous, any advice they may give you could be exactly the opposite of what you really need and could just put you in a bad spot. And if you do accidentally insult someone from the Fae society, their Fae culture, apologize for it, just like you would with anyone else, but mean it. Don't the hollow "I'm sorry" doesn't really, do you a lot of good when you're working with the Fae, because they'll understand your intention. If you're just, saying, "Hey, I'm sorry for being a dumbass," that's different than saying, "I'm sorry," and then not changing your behavior. And honestly, this works pretty similarly for people. If you're rude and insulting, make sure you're apologizing for that kind of behavior because it's not good. It's not going to get you anywhere. Lip off to your boss, and it's a good way to not have a boss anymore because you're unemployed. So, remember that, pay attention to the way you're speaking to the people around you. There's the saying, you catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar. Yeah, that's true. Having a pleasant speech or way of speaking to others is a lot better than being rude and negative. So this one is true, not just with the Fae, but in general also. Don't assume that all Fae know one another. or like one another. It's like saying, "Hey, where are you from?" And if you say, "Well, I am from New York," it's like, "Oh, really? I had a buddy from New York. Did you know Bob Jones?" And do you have any idea how many Bob Jones there are probably in New York City, not just the state? There's a bunch of them. So, when you're coming across someone from somewhere that you're not, don't assume that that person or that individual knows the person that you know. I mean, um, it, maybe they do. It does happen, but generally speaking, they're strangers, and you don't assume that everybody's going to be exactly the same and know everybody from the same area. Now, within the Fae, and the Fae burrows, if you will, there's the mythology: don't eat the food, because it'll keep you there. Often, that's you need to be aware of what you're eating, because some of the, especially if you're doing a spirit quest or an astral travel,
Which reminded me.
there may be things that you probably should not ingest in one way, shape, or form in those other places. So don't be Alice in Wonderland, and don't assume that just because it says "drink me" that you should. Um, if you are going to be working with the Fae, and you want to give an offering, shiny things are appreciated. And you know what? A lot of people like shiny things. If you are trying to have the ravens or crows take a message for you, for example, you might want to use a shiny thing to catch their attention. Because yeah, okay, sparkly things are eye catching and will get you attention. Honey is often used as a type of offering, pretty much in several different cultures. Their honey has been used as a sweetener pretty much all over, except for where sugar cane was more prevalent, because yeah, it's being able to sweeten your foods, not just your coffee like we do here, but teas or cookies or the foods you're cooking. Often you do need some sort of sweetener, and honey is a real often easy to cultivate type of sweetener. So honey is often a product of your own labors that you can use as an offering to the deities or spirits. If you're working with the Fae, make sure you're not intentionally, going into circles of mushrooms or the fairy ring type mushrooms, because often that's a portal to another place. So if you wanted to leave an offering in that kind of a space, sure, that's one thing. But just be aware of what you're doing and where you're going, and just being aware. I've mentioned this before. Be aware of your surroundings and what you've got going on. Just like if you're out in the world and you're out hiking to do some wildcrafting, you need to be aware of predators like bears or lions, or depending on where you're at, tigers, crocodiles. I don't know. You never know. A Bigfoot. There's all sorts of cryptids that you should probably pay attention to. So yeah, just be aware. Circles of extraordinary dark green grass, especially compared to the other grass around it. Just be aware. There's often a reason for it, and it's not always just because there's a good fertilizer right there. It may be something a little more supernatural. Respect, yes. Respect is a big thing. Lucky goes, she can go in with respect. She does have pictures of a fairy ring, and when she was taking pictures of them, the business managers came out and asked why, and then the next day they were mowed off because somebody just, mowed it down, which is kind of unfortunate and rather sad. People not knowing what's going on. But yeah, be respectful of the space you're in. Um, let's see. Um, if you do choose to befriend a fairy, be cautious of the cold iron.
So heat it up before you poke them?
Yes, sure, Don. Heat it up before you poke them. Just iron is often, according to the lore, is that it's toxic. It's a poison. And so, yeah, if you're trying to, if you want to leave an offering for the Fae, probably a fistful of nails is not going to be the right thing to do, or maybe use a selenite athame instead of a knife. So just be aware. Let's see. If you are working with the Fae, keep in mind that the Fae time is not the same as Earth time, and this is true for many of the deities and the spirits, because they're moving at within a different timeline or a different clock, if you will, because they have their energies are going towards different things, and they may not have the same priorities or the same schedule that we do. So just be aware. If you ask for something today and you need the answer tomorrow, well, that's your emergency does not. Your lack of planning does not constitute an emergency on my part.
Mm-hmm.
That's true for most of the spirits and deities and entities out there, including the Fae. Let's see. Many things when working with the Fae, and honestly with all of the deities, very little is black and white. Often everything is shaded with gray. Truth, and remember that for those that assume the Fae can only speak the truth, well, their truth may not be the same as your truth.
That's all a point of view. Yeah.
So, I have drama, kind of getting in the way of the camera. For those of you who don't know her, she is a very dark calico cat. But, if you're just kind of glancing at her, it's like, oh, it's a black cat. No, she's not a black cat. She's a calico cat. She's got brown spots and orange spots and everything else. My truth is she's a calico cat. For you who might just be glancing at her, she's a black cat. So, and that just looks true to you. So just be aware, if there's 100 people in the room, and they all see the same thing, you're going to have 100 different versions of the same thing happening. That's why eyewitness accounts in investigations are often hard to corroborate. And, it just, everything's a little gray. Now, when the Fae speak, they do mean everything they say. And the words they use all have value. So often the words used, there may be a limited number of words, but there's often a lot of information in the words chosen, which is why you need to be aware of the languages that you're using, because not all words in all languages have the exact same meaning, or are just limited to one meaning. So, on that note, we're going to stop because it's our first break already, and we'll be right back with more drama. Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between, talking a little bit about gratitude, and specifically with the Fae, and how to say thank you. Often, a little bit of respect goes a really, 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 really long time.
Time? Way?
Sorry, thank you.
W-H-E-Y.
I'm sorry, I've got a mouthful of cat hair, and I didn't bring my water down, and yeah. Just one of those things. I love the cat. I'd love her more if she would, lay down and take a nap. Wee. Stop shedding on me. So yeah, we just finished up talking about the Fae and how they mean everything that they say. So basically, remember the tongue holds power, so be careful what you say and listen closely to them because they may be saying more than they let on. And, as I mentioned before the break, this is part of the reason why you have to be careful when you're working with foreign languages or languages that are not your first language, because often the words don't always match up completely or 100%. We may assume that, a word is completely translatable. For instance, blue. Or no, let's say snow. Snow's good. The Eskimos have 100 different words for the word snow?
I don't give a crap.
But yeah, basically they have 100 different ways to say snow. So, it's, for me, it's snow. It's the white stuff that's falling out of the sky. The sky is falling, that kind of thing. 100 different ways to say snow. It is snowing. But because they all mean something a little bit different, it is giving a slightly different meaning or impact to the type. Maybe it's the type of snow, the way the wind's blowing, the temperature outside, that kind of thing. And so they're descriptive of more than just snow. So when working with entities that speak other languages, make sure that you are really truly understanding the words being used, because you want to make sure you're actually understanding and interpreting the words correctly. Goofy cat.
Snow doesn't make ice cream.
You can use snow to make ice cream.
Yeah, but snow doesn't make ice cream.
No, it makes
Sorry.
Scream.
Ah.
Let's see. If the Fae promise to do something or promise something to you, it means that they are going to honor their word. This is where, remember back in the day, or maybe you heard the stories of back in the day, when someone's handshake was as good as their word, or
Their
and they did,
bond.
yeah, their bond, whatever. They, a contract might be coming, and you may still need to sign the contract, but when you said nope, it's a deal, and you shook on it, that meant something. Nowadays, it's just,
It's a fist bump and get the hell out.
and don't wipe your nose on someone's shirt, but it's it doesn't have the same meaning anymore. So, yeah, it's kind of like when I talked about cursing versus blessing. They don't always mean the same for the recipient as they do the caster. So, same with a promise from the Fae. Yeah, good, bad, doesn't really matter. They will honor their word, and often the results are not always what you expect them to be. So, when working with the Fae, the law of unintended consequences.
It's not just a law.
It's probably closer to reality than the, well, I forgot to think about that, because that's the one's going to come up and kick you in the ass. It's not going to bite you in the butt. It's going to kick you in the ass. So be aware. And if you promise the face something, on the flip side of that, you better follow through, because if you don't, you're going to regret it in a big way. So yes, when you give your word, it's binding, and it's like contractually binding. So Fae are very much masters of manipulation, so they can twist your words and make you regret whatever it is you've asked for. The manipulation is a survival skill, and it isn't just within the Fae. It's pretty much anybody that has receives requests, or a lot of requests.
It's like try and talk to Loki.
Yeah. Yeah, Loki might be your BFF, but if you ask him to get you a glass of water, be careful of where that glass of water may have come from.
Exactly. Like the video of the little kid. She gives her dad a drink of water, and he drinks it, runs back into the bathroom, dips it out of the toilet, run back in. Here you go.
Exactly. And mom's like, oh, well, that's great. But, did you ever stop and think about, where little Sally was getting the water from because she can't reach the faucet? Yeah. So be aware.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it is horrible. So yeah, just it just yeah. Yeah, exactly. And the dad had no idea on that one until mom clues him in, and he's like, brush your teeth out. So, but yeah, that manipulation, it goes back to, be aware of what you're asking for, phrase your request succinctly, explicitly, and accept that whatever you say, it's a binding contract. So if you are going to be bound to whatever it is, make sure it's something that you can deliver on, or that you're willing to deliver on.
Like not your left eye.
Right? Or your firstborn, or, just be aware. Let's see. So, Faye will enter into a contract with you, and the bond is real, but be careful, because if there's any kind of loophole, they will find it. I mean, just like an example would be, if you in the contract you say, well, they can't cause you any injury of any kind, and then they bite you. They may just choose to interpret the injury as verbal insult instead of bodily harm. So that's why you have to be able to really understand what it is you're asking for. I'm not saying you shouldn't work with the Fae, but you need to really journal this one out and make sure the phraseology of your request succinct, explicit, covers all the bases, dots all the I's, crosses the T's, and then has a couple of redundancies built into it. So, yeah. Now, the Fae, just like pretty much any of the deities out there, are able to use a glamour. Glamour is often a what's the best way to describe it? It's not always a visual cloaking device, if you will, but sometimes it could be a verbal one or a mental one. Basically, it may be a way of confusing you or misleading you or hiding the identity, because names have power within the spirit world. That's why a lot of practicing witches have their own witch name that they share only with their high priestess. If then, often it's the close, the private name, and it's the one that you don't share. It's just the core of yourself.
Zawlord.
Yeah. Best Scrabble word ever, za.
Shut up.
But
Cheater's word.
it's not a cheater's word.
It's a cheater's
It
word.
just made me laugh. It was in a book like shortly after that. But yeah, that glamour is used to often, confuse you, yes, but also it's a way of binding you or blocking your observance of who they really are. So this is part of the reason why so many of the Greek deities have used glamour in the past to look like someone else when they're up to mischief and no good, and Zeus is out trying to beget other little Zeuses, baby Zeuses. So, and a lot of the deities will do this. It's just a way of concealing their true identity. Sometimes it's to confuse you. Sometimes it's just protect themselves. If you are going for walks in a wooded area, for instance, and you have this feeling of not being welcome, generally it's good to leave. It could be that you are no longer the apex predator in that area. It could be the Fae. It could be a bear or a lion. It could be Bigfoot. Dogmen. There's a lot of what we consider supernatural beings out there that may not be observing you with your best interests in their brain. It's more like what parts of you are in their best interests to bite. So
Mostly soft parts.
yeah, soft parts. And Titan asks a question. So Titan wants to know, so why bother with them, with the Fae? So with the Fae specifically, it's because they do have a lot of power and a lot of energy and ability to help you. And the working relationships are often very, very beneficial. So you just need to be aware and cultivate those relationships carefully, and with your true intuition, and open that third eye, and listen to your instincts. They won't lead you horribly astray, and that's true for
Horribly astray.
horribly astray. And that's true for any of the deities that you might choose to work with. I mean, you could just try to manifest your, magic using your own energy, and you will have some successes. You truly will, because, we all are energetic beings, and we all have the ability to do things with that energy. But often we need some help. We need a little bit of a boost. We need jumper cables, if you will, to get things done. If I'm doing like an energetic cleansing, for instance, and I'm pulling that negative energy out of someone, what am I going to do with it? Well, I'm either going to, ground it out into the earth, go hug a tree, that kind of thing, cleanse myself, but it's got to go somewhere. So, sometimes if there is say a negative entity attached to a person, you sometimes need that extra help, to unbind someone from someone who's, literally sucking the life, or having the life sucked out of them by basically a tick type poltergeist or something like that. I mean, if you listen to many, or read ghost stories of any kind, you know that there's, bad things out there. And sometimes, yes, you can do the cleansing with some sage or salt, and everything is great. But sometimes you just need that extra oomph. Um, so Titan asks, Paisley, have you ever heard of Fae helping humans with other Fae? Because there are so many types. And yeah, so there's the lesser Fae, the greater Fae, the high Fae, just like there's multiple levels of deities, if you will. Like there's angels and archangels within Christianity. There's different types of fae, and some are going to be more helpful, and some will be more mischievous. And it's just a matter of trying to figure out what it is. And there's some, and fairies are separate from fae, and then just they're often confused. But that's like,
Well, fairies are more wood spirits.
yeah,
Things
exactly.
like that.
Your nymphs, your dryads, your, that type of the woodland sprites are different than the fae. So yeah, Aussie says multiple levels of humans too. Yes, there are. And that's very, very true. Yes, pharmacy. Yeah, fae and fairy, two different things. It's like I, yeah, very, very, very different. Why is Don chuckling?
Don's chuckling because of something he said to his boss the other day.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Let's see. Now, some areas are more prone to fae activity than others, and whether urban or wild, and often those higher concentrations of fae activity are around portals, energetic portals, ley lines, and in other areas where the veil between their realm and ours is a little thinner. And that's true with pretty much any of the different spiritual entities out there. Some places the veil to their realm and ours is just a little bit a little thinner. So you can protect yourself with the branches from the hawthorn. I'm sorry, drama. I don't know how you did that. Gonna hack up a hairball later. The hawthorn is very protective. So if you're going to have like a walking staff or a wand, if you will, hawthorn's a good one to have when working with the fae, because it'll help protect you, and it'll help you to see through the glamour. Just like a hagstone, if you're looking through a hagstone, you can often see the fae or the fairy. I swear, you'd think I was licking the cat with this much cat hairs in my mouth. I know, right? I feel like, yeah.
Some of the
It's
stuff
just,
you say,
well, I'm sorry. It's just, there's this cat and she's shedding, and it's, as I love her, but yeah. So, anyways, so basically, when working with the fae, just like any of the other entities, be aware of whom you're trying to work with. There are different levels. You don't need to request help from someone who's a very advanced, powerful individual. when all you need is a sprite to help you out. Not every solution is a hammer, and not every problem is a nail. Sometimes the problem is Jello, and a hammer won't help you. It'll make things worse. So, and then, journal what you're trying to do, journal what you're doing. Remember, don't say thank you, and show gratitude. Whether that's with gifts or just by being respectful. That's really a good way to do it. But that doesn't mean give them a strand of shiny, sparkly beads and assume that's going to be of great value. You need to be aware. Lucky says she's actually nailed Jello to a tree. I'm not sure why. Okay. I've used that analogy before. I've never had anybody say, yeah, they actually nailed Jello to the tree.
There's only two uses for Jello anyhow.
What's that?
Jello shooters and Jello wrestling. That's it. That's all.
That's all.
That's it. It's the only two good uses for it.
Okay. Okay. So, I'm just kind of Jello wrestling, huh? What flavor do they use?
Who cares?
I just that lime green. So when you want to do a thank you ritual or gratitude ritual, one, make sure you're setting your intention before you do the ritual.
What the crap was that?
It says you have a threat aborted something because there was something blacklisted, and goodness gracious me, your antivirus.
What'd you do? I haven't even touched that computer in like 3 days.
I don't know.
So what have you done?
I just opened a thing. It's from Llewellyn.com. Scared the bejeebers out of me.
No pharmacy. I would be salty if I told you what I told my boss. That would be salty.
Uh-huh.
I told him he can't, when he's talking about cars, I told him he can't say blow trannies.
Oh, yes, you cannot say blow trannies anymore.
It says I blew a tranny the other night. I'm like, no, you can't say that.
I'm just going to shake my head. For those of you listening in on Radio World, Don's sense of humor is not in a straight line.
Justin popped in just in time to hear it, too.
All right. So I have a caller.
Thank God.
I'm going to mute Don because, oh my stars. Hello, regular girl. You are on the air. Just ignore Mr. Don.
I am on the air. Get ready. Get ready.
All right.
You guys all ready?
Yeah, we are ready. So
you guys ready?
Yep. So we've got
You're
about
ready?
3 minutes, and if you go beyond that, I'll interrupt you, and then we'll pick it back up after the break. Okay?
Okay.
All right, go for it.
Yeah. So, great topic. At first, I couldn't get my mind around the Fae thing.
Mm-hmm.
Such a wide topic, you know. And then I thought about it and thought I'd share that in my mind, I think of the Fae, I think, as nature spirits. Mm-hmm. For most of my life, I have thought of them as nature spirits. And I've got a cat here, too. It drives me nuts. Now, also, and so I have different names for her. Now, I live in sort of a suburban area, and I think when I listen to your show, Paisley, I always picture sort of like a country kind of a pagan thing, you know? But in reality, in my world, I live in a kind of suburban thing. That's what goes on here. It's kind of a city. I'm in San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
And so with this cat, also, she's an outdoor cat, yet she's very, like, doesn't bite, yet she's a hunter.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't get her to come live inside, but she's really affectionate and sweet. She's all black and got these beautiful little white paws, and there's no biting, but she's a great hunter in the neighborhood, but really talkative. And I've got lots of different names for her. And I notice with this topic that she relates to, like, so she, one of them is I've called her Little Communicator, and wish I had spoken another language, because Little Communicator is not like a cat name, right?
Mm-hmm.
so there should be like a, her name. When we found out, she's been living in a neighborhood for like maybe, almost 10 years, which is kind of old for a cat. She got left behind. She's got severe abandonment issues. Like, this cat is so neurotic. Seriously. Like, so she cries. Like, a lot of crying goes on, but she's also communicating. Like, I get this, but I don't talk cat talk,
Mm-hmm.
But she knows what the human beings are saying. I'm telling you, she does. But I don't know what she's trying to tell me. So I get frustrated, and
Mm-hmm.
I find, and I like to know what I'm doing. And I think most human beings do, right? We
Mm-hmm.
like to appear to know what we're doing. And so this is a vulnerable area of mine, to not know what this cat is talking about. And she's trying to tell me shit all the time. And I don't know what she's trying to tell me. Like, she's not hungry, and sometimes she is, but she isn't. So, I don't know. Like,
There's times I think
I'm asking for help, I guess.
yeah.
Like, it's almost like I'm asking for a reading about this cat. And we're talking about the Fae. And,
Mm-hmm.
gosh, I feel stupid. I feel stupid right now.
Oh
I don't
gosh.
like that.
Hey, so we're at break. We'll be right back, and we'll pick it back up. We'll talk about the kitties. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Mother of darkness, mother of light, earth beneath
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. So we're going to finish up with the call with Regla Girl real quick, and then when we come back, or when we're done with that, we'll move on, and then I'll do the singing bowl. So, hello, Regla Girl. Are you still there?
Okay, Paisley. Okay, Paisley. Yeah, I'm still here. So, well, what I was thinking was that, see, I think that the cat or the animal world, that she acts like a bridge between me, the human, right, and my energy body, and then and then sort of like the plant kingdom, and then the technology here, see, because this is a city as well. So, it's kind of this multifaceted, energetic field, that she's sort of translating in this, and she's just very vocal, and really has dealt with a lot of trauma in her life, on this busy street. It's really kind of an interesting thing.
Yeah, our cats see
anyway,
a lot and
the
experience a
show's
lot.
been very provocative. Go ahead.
Well, thank you. I said our pets often see and experience things that we don't necessarily see and experience for ourselves. For instance, cats, have often in multiple cultures have been considered to be the guardians of the underworld or the guardians of the dead. And they're often affiliated with death deities in one way, shape, or another. And it's because they see things or see the world differently than we do. Perceive, yes, perceive's the good word. Differently than we do. Dogs will do it too. The dog that we had to put down this past spring, we called him Ghost Hunter because he would just stare at the wall. He would walk into a room, sit down, and stare at the wall for a little bit, and then he'd get up and do his own thing. It's like he was, observing something that we just couldn't perceive. Now, he was also neurotic, but and he was an old dog, so who knows? But we called him Ghost Hunter pretty much day one when we got him, and we had him for 5 years. So, our animals do perceive things that we just don't.
Didn't you say guardians? You did say that, right? You used the word guardians because I've been taught that too. I believe that. I've experienced that. I've in my own experience and seen it and heard that from the experience of other people as well. It's as though they can act as guardians in health issues, especially. Incredible stories I've heard and have stories myself, where they really can do physical healings and psychological healings, as though they can take on and transmute that. I don't know what they do with it, but it's incredible. And I've seen that with this cat in particular.
Yeah, cats are phenomenal creatures. They have strengths and abilities that we just don't understand. We're just not in a place where we get it yet.
And so there's this interaction. So there's this interaction between the animal and us and the plants and the technology. That's what I'm seeing. See, because then I'm in this a little more of an urban area, I guess, than you are. So I'm in that. Oh, and I guess what I'm seeing here too is, like, I don't know if you've heard this, but I'm in California, and so this idiot Newsom, told people. But right here in the suburban area, there was a part. So I think this was affecting her tonight too. But people are not listening to Newsom. He thinks he has power, but you see, he doesn't. But because people on this nice neighborhood that I live in down the block, they had a nice fire and a campfire. People were eating outside without masks on. People are not listening to him. I was down in Little Italy tonight. People were walking around without masks down there, and people don't listen to him. He thinks that, he has power. See, if he had power, then people would listen to him, but people are not listening to him. Governor Newsom.
Well, yeah, and that's
share that as well.
and that's the fun of politics there.
Yeah.
And yeah, just and that's why a lot of spirituality and politics don't mix very well, because spirituality and religion just have a hard time playing on the same field with the same rules as the politicians do. So, but as far as the kitty goes, yep, your kitty is seeing things and experiencing things that you just probably aren't. And yeah, probably I would have to say, yeah, her perception, your kitty's perception, is definitely outside of our own ability to understand. I can see it with Droma.
It was this thing. So this week I called her, changed her name to Little Head Butter, which is a name, that you wouldn't call a kitty cat, right? Little Head Butter. Imagine, someone comes, oh, what's the kitty's name? Little Head Butter. But when I called her Little Head Butter, what was interesting about it, no, and I'm serious about this, she began to act as though she liked it. Like she could feel the energy of the name, because I called her this because I have mobility issues, so that I can't really get up and walk around a lot. So she does that thing with her head where she butts the head on my ankles, on my legs all the time, in that it's an affectionate gesture, right? Head butter with head butter. She likes it because I laugh when I say it, and it's that energy. That's the communication. She really does. Cats are very visual, so I just send the picture to her, and I notice this all the time. That's the communication. Really, what I'm getting to is that my desire to know the sound, because I was a singer, so I am sensitive to sound. I want to know. She's very, very vocal, like she talks all the time, and I want to know more and more what it is that she is saying. I am convinced at some point I will be able to teach her the blues, quite literally. Wouldn't that be an interesting thing to do?
Well, it's very, very possible. Cats are extraordinarily intelligent, and they do things that we don't always understand. So, and
I'll let you go.
So yes. Well, thank you, Regla, for calling in and sharing the kitty story, and your, yeah, those kitties do have different perceptions than what we do. That is for darn sure.
They're amazing.
All right. Well, thank you, my dear, for calling in, and now, if you don't mind, I'm gonna go ahead and play the singing bowl real quick, and then we will move on and talking about gratitude.
Okay.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you, my dear.
All right.
All righty. So, yes, just a quick singing bowl, because you know what? We all need a little healing. I just love my bowl. It plays so quickly and easily, which is part of the reason why this is the one I chose. At work, we have about 15 different bowls and different notes. No, I take that back. There's like 30 bowls, I think. And generally speaking, this is the bowl that sings for me faster than any of the other ones, honestly. And I just, yeah, the tone lasts a long time, and it's just an awesome, awesome thing. So yeah, Bomber, he wants me to keep singing, and I don't know why the sound is going out. Is the sound going out? Am I losing my voice?
I don't know. Are you?
I don't think so.
Bomber, he wants me to keep singing, and I don't know why the sound is going out.
Keep singing. Yes, yells like Ursula.
I don't understand. Let's see. Yes. Um, okay, where was I? So gratitude. When we look at the things, or as I was listening at some of the rules or guidelines, um, in regards to working with the Fae, those are pretty transferable to any of the deities or the spiritual guides that we might be working with. We should show gratitude to all of them, and gratitude isn't always saying thank you. Often it's listening respectfully and with an open mind. It's often um, you know being present in the conversation, and being focused on what we're requesting, um, because a lot of the times when we're requesting something, okay, maybe it's just me, I don't know, but I'm a little ADD sometimes, and so I'll start at one point and I'll wander all over the place. I'll eventually get back to where I was started, but there's it's just disjointed and not cohesive sometimes, which is why it's a really good thing to sit down and journal what your request is, focus your intent, and as you're doing a ritual for a gratitude type ritual, it's okay to have notes. I've done group rituals where I literally have had the ritual written down on an index card or two so that I can keep track of where I'm at and what I'm trying to accomplish, and what I might have with me, or what tools I might need, because I don't want to confuse myself, because some days that is really, 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 really easy to do. I think the old dog needs out.
Mm. Yeah, that might be why he's getting in my face.
Yep. I think he's doing the pee-pee dance. Well, he's old. He doesn't really dance anymore. It's more of a tip, tip, tap, 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 tippity, tappity, tappity, tippity. Um, he's rapidly becoming a ghost of Christmas past is what we've started calling him, because he's so paled out. But yeah, saying thank you is absolutely the shortest way to show gratitude to someone or something. But often the shortest and fastest way to do so, something like that, is not the most respectful. It is not the most likely way to get the results that you're looking for. And it's not because it's disrespectful to say thank you. It's just maybe that's not the right language or the right words. So yeah, you can say, write your own ritual. Scott Cunningham has several in any of his books. And you just start off by saying, I'm performing a ritual of gratitude. My love shines like the flame. Or my gratitude floats like the leaves on the wind, or something like that. You want to make sure you're wording it correctly to be addressed to the deities that you're working with, because saying Lady of the Caves or Lord of the Plains, like he would, because he is Wiccan, may not necessarily be appropriate if you're trying to reach out to Odin and or Hel, because that's not the wrong entities. So yeah, be aware. But yeah, you use candles. You could use paper boats. So if you're in an area where you have access to a body of water, whether it's the ocean or a lake or a pond, a little bit of folding some paper, and you have a little paper boat, and you can put some flowers in there and set it adrift, or with a little tea light or what have you, and it's you're sending your thanks or your gratitude out to the deities that you work with. And that's a real simplistic, I suppose, way of offering thanks, but at the same time, it's also very, very direct. And remember, the words that you use give form to what you're trying to accomplish. So sometimes simple and direct is exactly the right way to do it. Because you want to make sure you're getting the right message out there, and to the right right deities. So, I when so I make homemade wine and such, and often when I am done with the dregs or the fruit, so I macerate the fruit and I start it to ferment and I pull out the pulp, and I will give that pulp to either the trees that I have on the property here, or I will pour it out for an entity that I am working with, or multiple entities, or for those of you who have seen Groot, my little oak tree, I have the Papa oak tree here, and I will sometimes leave an offering with him also. Sometimes it's just going out and pouring a little bit of that alcoholic beverage, or even just a beverage if I'm drinking tea. Add it to the elderberry, or share it with the oak tree or the plum trees or whatever. And it's just whatever it is that I'm partaking of, I try to share with the world around me a little bit. You can do the same thing when you are, say, you're hunting and you hit what you're shooting at, and you've now got a critter that you need to process and put in the freezer. That's one of those times where it's okay to say thank you to the spirit of the animal for the meals that they're going to provide. It's part of the reason why buying your meat locally from a local butcher is good, because then you know where it came from and you can honor the animals locally, rather than it's like, all right, so the cattle truck just drove by. Thank you, Mr. Trucker, for bringing those cattle from Canada or Argentina so we can butcher them and have hamburgers later. It's really trying to be aware of sourcing your food. If you've listened to Pharmacy at all, he talks a lot about being. I'm not trying to trigger the farm. I don't know if the farm is even listening right now.
Yes, he
Is he? Your microphone's not on.
You don't have it on.
No, you're right. There you are.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, Mr. Don's back. But oh, sorry. The cat walked away. I'm still getting. Yeah. So, yeah, being aware of where your food's coming from, it makes it a lot easier to say thank you. If you have a garden, say thank you as you're working the soil and planting the seeds. You can add that gratitude and the intention of gratitude to your garden as you're planting either your starts or planting your seeds, and plucking your weeds, because there will be weeds, or harvesting the produce later. And making sure you're saying thank you for the energy, and then it's not a big thing. It's not a big production, but being or expressing gratitude. It requires very, very little energy for you to put out, but the rewards are huge. I'm grateful when my car works and the heater kicks in when it's cold out. I'm also very grateful for my heated leather seats, because those are fantastic. And don't roll your eyes at me.
Ridiculous, just stupid.
When you have
swamp butt when you get out of the car.
Okay, but it's not in the summer. No, when it's cold out, like this time of the year, and you're cold, especially if you've been shoveling the sidewalk, you get out, you check the mail, whatever, you're cold, and your biscuits are chilled, and you want to sit down, and you turn the heater on. It's like, woohoo! It's nice. So, but yeah, gratitude. You know, so pharmacy says count your blessings every morning, good energetics, and a good mindset to be in. Yes, it's being mindful of your practice, being mindful of your faith or your path, and it's not necessarily a pagan thing. It should be a people thing, being mindful and being aware of self and expressing that gratitude. You can tell yourself thank you for making the right choices so that you have the job, the roof over your head, the significant other that you can stand, the kids that listen 10% of the time or more. Sometimes they listen more, sometimes less. The dog that doesn't, snore all the time. The cat that doesn't shed constantly. Or, and also you express the gratitude for just having them around because, man, yes, pets are healthy for you. Mostly. And then they get senile and they run into things.
What? That
Hi.
dog is a dipstick.
Well, he's blind and deaf. He's following his nose. He's a hound.
Followed his nose right into the glass cabinet.
It's because he can't see it.
Oh, God.
I know. It's been there for like a year or so. It's not like the thing moves at all. It's like watching the kids run into the wall. It's been there for a long time, a bit longer than the kids have. And they still run into it. Oh, and he smells.
Anyhow.
Oh, thank you, smelly dog.
Next on the agenda is?
Next on the agenda. No, I'm just going to continue going on about saying thank you. Let's see. Les, you didn't walk into it. The dog walked into a glass door cabinet thing because he's blind.
You might as well be a pinball wizard. Unless you know the song, never mind.
I know the song. So, yeah, also, there's enough. So, just real quick before the next break, or last break, there's a lot of negativity out in the world today. And unfortunately, the only way that we can effectively fight that negativity is to choose the positivity. We have to choose to not wallow in the negative stuff. Yeah, stuff's a good word. And be grateful for what we do have. Grateful for our health. Grateful for our job.
Elaine says, I guess I should thank the cat for puking in his water dish instead of on the carpet.
Yes.
It'd be a lot harder to get out.
This is a thing. The old dog did the same, puked on the floor rather than the rug, which I was appreciative of. Although, there are times when, yeah, he's just an old dog is all. It just remember gratitude. Gratitude will help reduce your stress. Instead of looking for the negative in every day, look for something to be thankful of. Have a gratitude jar. And every day, at the end of the day, beginning of the day, whatever it is you choose to do, make it a habit, kind of like writing in your journal, Aussie. No, I'm only poking at you because you said you don't write. Write down something that positive that happened to you, or something that you're thankful for the day. And after a while, your mind stops looking for the negative things to dwell on and to discuss, and it starts looking instead for the positive things to emphasize and write down and acknowledge. It's just so easy to see the negatives that sometimes we have to stop and look for the positive. You may have a yard full of weeds, but if you stop and look a little closer, those weeds are actually dandelions, and you can make dandelion wine, dandelion jelly. You can eat the leaves. You can roast the root, and it's actually a pretty good coffee substitute. I mean, dandelions are pretty good for you. It just sometimes you have to look for the benefit because we've been taught, at least here in the U.S., that dandelions are bad. Shame on you for having them because they're just weeds. So, look for that positive, and yeah, have that gratitude jar, so you can really focus on the things that you're thankful of. And sometimes the little things are, I'm grateful I woke up this morning, or I'm grateful that my socks matched, or which doesn't always happen for me because they're socks. I don't care as long as they're the same length. Or I'm grateful that the coffee was hot this morning. Sometimes, yeah, it's the little things that we need to be grateful of that'll help us change our mindset and the way we're perceiving the world around us into a more positive and more pleasant place to be. So we're off to break. We'll be right back.
Watchers of the shining moon, heaven, earth, and sea, I call upon you in this hour, bring magic unto me. Brothers, oh, the cauldron cries, it singeth unto me the songs of Mother Goddess and the Father in the tree.
Hello, my lovelies. This is Paisley Wild, and we are off adventuring into the spaces between. Tonight we've been talking about gratitude. You should practice it. Sometimes it's just being respectful. Goes a long way to express gratitude. So for the last section of the show, I figured we'd just talk a little bit about the full moon coming up. So it is a penumbral eclipse on this full moon. It's the beaver full moon. And it's beaver because beavers got their dinners socked away with all the trees trimmed and ready to chew on as they get ready to hibernate. So yeah. But the penumbral, if I can say that right, eclipse is where the moon dips slightly into the penumbral shadow of the Earth. And so it'll just be kind of a slight shading on the edge of the full moon. And it's something that'll be mostly visible in the northern hemisphere, specifically in the U.S. and mostly in the U.S. Some parts of Asia will be able to see it, in some parts of Australia, but generally speaking, it'll be a U.S. visible thing, and it'll be about a 20-minute session of smudginess around on the moon. And it's, when it comes to lunar eclipses of any kind, there's a couple different schools of thought, and I haven't really talked about that much because there is some special magic that goes with the lunar eclipse. And it's depending on your school of thought and where you're at, there's some neo-pagan ideas that I think are interesting. But generally speaking, an eclipse of any kind is considered a sign, or it's like in the Nordic traditions, the moon hound, Managramar, is the moon hound swallows up the moon and stains the skies with blood during Ragnarok. So it's the eclipse is kind of a big deal. I guess Christopher Columbus even used a lunar eclipse in 1504 to get shelter from the local tribal people, because he used to saying, their gods were angry for not giving them shelter, and he used the information against people who didn't have it written down, which I don't really feel that Columbus was the hero that he was made out to be for the longest of times. But anyways, different show altogether. We're not talking about him tonight. But generally speaking, period, which is generally pretty doggone short. Most practitioners, I think, see it as the equivalent of an entire lunar cycle in itty bitty bitty tiny space, one brief event, because it has the appearance of a waxing, waning, and then reappearing throughout an entire eclipse. And so the magic of it, or the strength of it, is a little different. A lot of the neo-pagans, or the new pagans, dangerous to perform magic during a lunar eclipse, because there's you could be damaged by the lunar eclipse. So either you don't do magic at all, or you learn how to ground, center, and shield so you won't self-sabotage any workings that you're doing. Okay, well, if you're doing any kind of workings at all, you should already know how to ground, center, and shield. It shouldn't be new to you. It should be that should be part of what you're doing anyways, if you're doing a ritual. Because shielding yourself from the unintended consequences is a big deal. Grounding out the extra energy, or pulling the energy up from the earth. Those are really important things. And being centered and being aware of what it is you need to accomplish. That focus. But during an eclipse, it's good to do spells that might increase your intuitive awareness or your psychic abilities, as well as divination and wisdom. Because, think of it as you're opening that level of consciousness where you can tap into your intuitive awareness or your psychic abilities. Eclipses are good for healing magic or rituals that are tied to reproductive health. Generally, because the moon is associated with womanhood. Not always. There's some masculine moon deities, but generally speaking, it's assumed to be associated with women. So some of that women's stuff is good during eclipse. And then rituals that connect you closely with deities, such as drawing down the moon or other spell work designed to invoke the god or goddess in your specific tradition. Now, I haven't really talked about drawing down the moon much, so I'll do that here in just a moment. And then any working that might be related to developing your magical skills in general is good to work on. And then rituals that honor lunar gods and goddesses, it's a really good time to make an offering, show your gratitude. That could be honey, it could be incense. Frankincense is always good. Myrrh. Frankincense and myrrh have been used for millennia as an offering. Something of importance to you might be good. Lavender, sage, depending upon the deity that you're working with, that will impact a bit as to what it is you're using for an offering. Right now, pomegranate seeds might be the right thing, with the assumption that my brain just shut off.
Pomegranate seeds, assumption.
Yep. Who ate the pomegranate seeds in Hades? Persephone.
Yes.
Sorry, just total brain cramp. Yeah. So if an eclipse is taking place where you cannot see it, or maybe it's raining, there's cloud cover, you can still take advantage of that energy, even though it's not right there in front of you. So if you are in an area where you may not be able to see an eclipse, you can still channel that energy. You really can. So drawing down the moon is a rite or a practice where the practitioner invokes the moon goddess, directly into herself or himself. Now, some variations of the ritual, a high priestess may direct, or priest may direct that energy into a vessel or another person. Or it may be an individual ritual where the practitioner, practitioner, is calling upon the goddess in one of her forms to help guide or fill you with energy. Often the drawing down the moon ritual is best on the night of the full moon. So that would be Saturday night, Sunday night, and Monday night. I believe are the 3 nights of the full moon this year. And generally, you want to be outside when you're doing this particular ritual. But if you cannot be outside because, like, for instance, here, it's going to be cold, you can do that inside. Just you want the moonlight to be upon you. Or if you're in an area where your neighbors are not as accepting because your neighbors will gossip. I remember, speaking of gossip, in high school, apparently my band director, the band teacher, was a little bit of a nudist, and they had nudist parties on a regular basis, about once a month or so, at their home in town, and the neighbor kids could see all the goings-ons and happenings from the second floor next door. So, be aware. That aware of your surroundings as you're doing a ritual, because you want to make sure that if it's a private ritual, you're really keeping it private. You don't really want to share all the details with whomever may wander by. So when it comes to drawing down the moon, the ritual itself, so it kind of depends upon your own specific tradition. I'm intuitive, so I'll probably, if I were to do this weekend, I would do a little bit of research, write my own ritual, put it in my book of shadows, and yeah. But generally, you're going to want to face the moon. You'll probably want to be near your altar, because an altar is a really good place to store your tools and such. You may be seated, you might be standing, but you're going to want to be focused upon the moon. And just say something like, Goddess of the Moon, you have been known by many names in many lands and many times. You are universal and constant. In the dark of night, you shine down upon us and bathe us in your light and love. I ask you, O Divine One, to honor me by joining with me and allowing me to feel your presence within my heart. And then there's a little bit of physical movement, so you want to move your feet apart so you're about shoulder width. Raise your arms up to welcome the goddess into you. And the next part, you can speak something spontaneously, you can memorize something, but you should feel a surge of energy, a very palpable, very noticeable tingle, and that's just the goddess herself making herself known to you. You'll feel that energy from her. She will, say what she needs to say to you. But you can also channel that energy with, I am the mother of all life, the one who watches over all. I'm the wind in the sky, the spark in the fire, the seedling. And then you can continue with, I am the vessel from which all things spring forth. Honor me from within your heart. Remember that acts of love and pleasure are my rituals, and there is beauty in all things. Honor me on this night of the full moon. I have been with you since the moment you were created and shall remain with you always. Let there be beauty and strength, wisdom and honor, humility and courage within you. If you need me, call upon me, and I shall come to you, for I am everywhere and always. Honor me as you seek knowledge. I am the maiden, the mother, the crown, and I live within you. And then you should feel the power of the goddess at this point within you. You should feel that energy. It shouldn't be overwhelming. It should be more warm. And yep, a little tingly. And then say, I look down upon the sands of the desert. I crash the tides upon the shore. I shine on the mighty trees of the forest and watch with joy as life continues every cycle. Be true to me, honoring that which I have created, and I shall be true to you in return. With harm to none, so shall it be. And then, you want to just soak into that moonlight energy and meditate on the experience. And once the energy surge kind of fades a bit, lower your arms and proceed with your ceremony as you normally would as you conclude a ritual. Now, this is one of those things you should journal what you intend to do. You should journal how you felt. You should journal anything that you've noticed, anything that the goddess may have said to you. Because drawing down the moon is considered an alternate state of consciousness, a form of ritual possession, if you will. And for some, you might feel that energy of the goddess for some time after the ritual is over with. And so you may feel a heightened sense of clarity. You may feel emotional, and that's normal. And that's again something to keep journaling, and why you are, what you're trying to do. It may be a good time to do scrying or working with tarot or runes or something, and yeah, it's a really good time to focus that energy into, healing of self, protecting your home. I mean, there's some, a lot of stuff going on in the world right now. It's a good time to channel that energy to work on self and protect self. And then, so the ritual I was just talking about, it's a little customized, but mostly from Wicca for One by Raymond Buckland. So it's just drawing down the moon. And Chris in chat says, my guide spoke to me the other morning while I was meditating, scared the crap out of him. And you know what? Yeah, if you're not really expecting to hear a voice, even though you've done the work, you've put the intention out there, that's what you want to experience. And it actually happens. Don't drop things, don't tip over, don't scream and go and panic. Show the gratitude and thankfulness just by and focusing on what's being said and the message that's being communicated. And again, journal it. Journal what was said. Journal what you might have heard or tasted or smelled, because often that's part of the entire picture of what you're experiencing, not just, I heard the voice and it scared the bejeebers out of me. So what else did you experience? What else did you see or hear? And it's hard to get into the habit of writing those things down and keeping track of them. And I am just as bad as the next person at journaling things because it takes time. Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna throw out the story of Sunny and Mani, the god and goddess of the sun and moon.
Mm-hmm.
Sunny is the goddess of the sun, and Mani is the god of the moon.
Mm-hmm.
So, why is it always a goddess you talk about?
Because for me, it's a goddess. For me, I've always looked at the moon as sister moon.
Mm-hmm. So, however, every once in a while, the wolves catch the sun or the moon, but Sunny and Mana struggle and pinch until the wolves set them free. And so each time you see the sun black and the moon red, know that they are within the jaws of the wolves, and thus it is our duty to raise our voices, convincing those rogues to release them. So with your loudest voice yell, "Hail Sunna, goddess of the sun, hail Mani, god of the moon, hail, hail, hail." So,
what tradition is that from?
It's heathen.
Is it heathen?
It's heathen.
I'm probably shouldn't be surprised by that. So yeah, it's just a slightly different tradition. So for me, yeah, it's always been sister moon. I don't know why, but I've always talked to the moon as sister moon, and that's just the relationship that I've developed. And everybody's going to be a little bit different, and that's why there's different traditions.
I just thought I'd throw that at you. Sorry.
No. It's not a bad wrench. It's a real one, because yeah, there's quite a few different masculine moon deities. Oh goodness, yeah. Mani is a Germanic. Mm-hmm. Sin was from Mesopotamia. Mm-hmm. Tsukuyomi was Japanese. Alagnek of the Inuit. Ibis was an Egyptian male moon god.
Mm-hmm. With the head of an ibis.
Mm-hmm. And Khonsu was from Thebes. So yeah, um, there's a lot of them out there, and it's just for me, it's always been a very feminine, a feminine energy. But that's just for me.
Anyhow,
Yeah, no, you're fine. Just looking to see. Yeah, Sin or it's Suen, spelled Sin, but pronounced Suen. Suen was a Sumerian moon god. Was the son of Enlil and Ninlil, the lord of the air and the goddess of grain. Interesting. So, Suen was the husband of the reed goddess Ningal and the father of Shamash, the sun god. Ishtar, the goddess of Venus, and Iskar, god of the rain and thunderstorms. Interesting. And yeah, this is part of the reason why I tell everybody to do their own research. And write things down, journal them. Let's see. Lucky says she's already generally regarded the moon as sister, but have also seen the moon as masculine too. Man in the moon, yep. Yeah, honor's a good way. Regardless of whether it's for me it's sister moon, but honoring the entity or the spirit, the deity behind the actual moon, I think varies. In some of the research and the things I've read, it's we as people and as humans often apply genders to the deities because it makes it easier for us to understand them or to grasp the concept of the deity. But often the deities themselves do not have a gender. For instance, Loki fathered a couple different things, but he also mothered.
Hel, Finfir,
Mhm.
the wolf god,
Mhm.
and the war, and I can never pronounce his name. Jorgenmir, the world serpent.
Oh,
Those are his 3 children.
yeah. And I think it's oh, love it when Google decides Sleipnir was
Yeah, even Odin was exiled for practicing shamanism. Yeah, he took on the feminine traits to cast. Yep, yeah, he was. Yeah, it's a lot. That's something a lot of people don't talk about.
oh yeah, because Odin is assumed to be this masculine, manly man.
Yeah, but no, he dressed up as a woman and practiced shamanism. Or, what were the witches called at the time? Vulva.
Yeah.
He dressed as vulva.
Mm-hmm.
No,
And-
Wotan is just another name for Odin.
Yeah. So it's we just assume, and I think it really is to help us understand or grasp the concepts of the different deities. But in reality, yeah, they're very, very gender fluid. Think about it. They've been around for millennia. Wouldn't you get bored at some point with the parts that you have? And, it's like, hey, let's play for the other team for a little while.
Blowing trannies.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, something like that. Or whatever it is that it trips your trigger, I guess. But yeah, I can't help it. but think, that, yeah, the gender is just something that's made it easier for us.
So Olin, Thor's son, what is the Proto-Germanic name for Thor?
I don't remember off the top of
I'm
my
not
head.
talking to you. I'm talking to Olin.
Okay. Thunder.
What?
Thunder.
Proto-Germanic name for Thor.
Yeah, it was thunder, basically. But anyways, I'm not going to go into it. I'm going to stop because, you know what? We're done for the night.
The word is dinar.
Dinar. Is that like money? Dinar? Anyways. So, on that note, be prepared for the full moon coming up. Get your rituals in place. Get your water prepared. Make sure you write moon water on the bottle so Dawn doesn't drink it. We'll see you tomorrow night. So merry meet, and merry part, and merry meet again. We'll see you later.
Sun, as we will, so mote it be, the spell forever done.